It's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. I wanted to show you what I've been doing today. I have actually been clipping through the jungle. So I've got all the way up to where I'll show you. What I've been doing is clipping these mums back because they get so tall that they flop over, and then when the pretty blooms come on in the fall, they're just all down in the dirt and looking ugly. So if you trim them back, be sure and trim them back before the end of June, or you will trim your bloom off and not have any blooms. So that's why I'm busy with it right now. I missed a few. See, I have this one trimmed, and then last year I just trimmed this down about half, and it still flopped over, went everywhere. So I'm trimming this down pretty severely. But I'm thinking that's the thing to do. And my sister actually, I told you all my mums died that were in my pots, but the ones in the ground made it fine. So I just pulled up some that were in the ground and put them in pots, and it only took them about probably 2 weeks to put their little root down and start putting their foliage up strong and healthy and looking good. So I'm hoping the same thing will happen for my sister, and we'll have beautiful mums for her Thanksgiving reunion. Today is June the 5th, and the last 2 days we've spent many long hours in the garden working. It seems like every time I turn around there's a new job for me to do, and actually my husband did this job, but this is our crepe myrtle. Usually this beautiful red new foliage is coming up in the spring. But because of our late and hard freeze that lasted 10 days, it did not come back on the established branches. So we had to trim all of that off, so it's coming back from the root. This particular little crepe myrtle called peppermint lace took such a long time to reach the height that it was, which was probably about maybe a little over 5 foot tall. So now it's back down to about 1.5 feet, but it's there and it'll come back again. We did get a lot done. I trimmed all of my mums back, and as I told you, I took some to my sister and put those in her pots, and we're going to be hoping that they will make beautiful pots for our Thanksgiving reunion by the time November gets here. I purchased a few little plants that were on the sale. It's time now for the plants to go on sale, and yet we still have cool enough weather that they can go in the ground without causing them death from transplant shock and just not being able to get established because of heat, which is what normally has been happening for the last several years. But this year we're lucky enough to have some beautiful weather for our planting season. Even though it is winding down, there's still hope if you want to put a plant in, but we've got to hurry and get it done. Just like I told you, I had to hurry and get the mums trimmed, because you want to trim them before the end of June, because they start putting on their bud for that fall season, and you don't want to lose your bud. So be sure and trim them if you need to trim them. Trim them down before the end of June in order to have your bloom there for that same fall weather. fall season. So while lots of plants are finished with their season going away, this is the last little bloom left on my amaryllis or amaryllis plant. And but while they're going away, other plants are coming on, like these pretty daisies, and also the lilies are coming on. I'm going to take you over here to one that just opened this morning for me, or last night. Anyway, it's open. This is the first time I've seen it this season, and isn't it big and gorgeous? My clematis is looking great. It just looks so good. I had a clematis called the President on here, and it was beautiful, very beautiful. It's still on there actually, but I don't know if any of it is in bloom right now, because I think this is the Jack Manny, which stays longer, so maybe we'll have the pretty blue blooms even longer in the garden now. But they're both on here, and I did see some earlier of the President ones. Let me see if I can. Yes, right here is one. You can tell because there's more petals in there. There's 6 petals in it. Here's another one with the 6 petals, and then these with the 4 petals are the Jack Manny, and they will stay longer than the ones called the President, but they are beautiful. I love these blooms, and it was my first clematis to bloom in my garden, so it will always be a favorite for me. But aren't these beautiful? Just as beautiful, and they stay in bloom a more extended period of time. The little container gardens that we started just weeks ago are filling out. They're beginning to fill their pots out and looking great. This one has a ways to go, but it's got one of my little ones from the window in it, and there's so few of them that made it that I'm extremely proud of the ones that did make it. So it'll have a ways to go, but it's healthy now, and it's getting there. It won't take it so very long to get up in that pot and standing up strong and looking really good. And this little pot, I did get another little calabachoa, or the mini petunias, to put in it because my one that was right here died out. And then this is not doing so great, but actually it's beginning to perk up a bit, so maybe this is a fan flower, a bright purple fan flower, and I'm hoping it will do good. And then this is also a calabachoa. I love this color, and I've never gotten one to last very long, but they're so beautiful, and I'm hoping, oh, wouldn't it be great if all that filled out to its greatest potential and just overflowed in that pot with beautiful colors of purple, pink, and yellow with a little bit of white. Just sounds so gorgeous. And then this little plant is just growing up so tall, I'll probably have to clip it off before too long, and I may be able to start some of this in another place. We'll see. And this little calabachoa is looking like a dream. It's so beautiful. I hope it keeps on going. My little bacopa is not doing so much, but it's very much alive, and it could still take a growth spurt and just fill out and overflow and become just as beautiful, as well as this diamond frost euphorbia. By the end of this season, this could just be billowing out and through all the rest of the plants in this planter. Wouldn't that be great? And just look at this little pot go. Oh my goodness, everything is already so tall. well, practically everything. And these little ones on this side are actually alyssum, and I put those there from seed, so they have a good start too. And then all this other gorgeous color, and it's growing up tall and healthy. Hopefully it will stay that way. I know that I'm going to have to start fighting insects too, because already I've seen some of the little like green unladybugs green with little black dots, but they're definitely not kin to the ladybug family. They're evil. Also saw several of the beetles that eat the blooms, and I hate those. They'll take my big huge lily blooms right down. There'll be nothing left. They'll take them out petal by petal, but I'm hoping to get a handle on them this year. But it does feel so good to get as much done as we have done. What a different feeling it feels to have something accomplished, as opposed to needing it accomplished and not finding the time to actually do everything you need to do. This little pot also has a ways to go to fill out, but even if it does and looks good, even this one little double petunia would just fill out that whole area and just looks so good. It may not reach its potential there, and I think this is a weed right here, so I'm pulling that up. But these right here are little alyssum plants coming up from seed, so they should come up. And let's see if I have any over here, and I'm not seeing any, so I think I'll plant a few more seeds right there, and then hopefully these other plants will fill out and it won't look scraggly too much longer. I think I'm loving this little ursine or ursine, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I love that color on there, and it's looking good. It's looking like it's going to fill things out too. And then of course this Kingswood torch coleus is great, along with the beautiful I think it's called tattooed orange or orange tattoo periwinkle. Look how this little pot is filling out. It's filling out so full you can't even see in there where the little coleus is. And I'm thinking you can tell that one that I first planted there that looked so healthy and good, it's dead. There's nothing going to come back from that. But the one I planted in front of it is looking great, and I'm expecting it to go ahead and grow up through all these other plants are more low growing, and it should come all the way up to the top of this plant, this little stand that's on top of the planter, and maybe even farther up. Before it's over, I may have to trim it back if it does well, and it certainly could. Another thing I did was trim back some of my dianthus. I did not trim this one back. There's just still too many pretty bloom there, but it won't be long to where the dianthus will be gone for the season, but they may even be back this fall. And right here on this little trellis, I have some things coming up. I know one of them is the orange Mexican flame vine flower, and the other I think it's either a passion vine or maybe a mandevilla vine. Now this poor little plant, I probably should just go ahead and take these out. There's one on either side. This one's even worse. It's gone. I'm going to go ahead and take it out. There's no really point in leaving it there. It's not going to make it. Probably the same with this one. I have a few little plants that I need to plant. They may end up going in this pot, but actually I'll probably put those in the pots in the front and put some seed here in this pot, and hopefully they have some beautiful zinnia plants growing up here before too long. When I showed you that my dunce cap, Chinese dunce cap, is coming back, and it just is continuing to come back more and more. So even though probably some of this won't, but a lot of it is coming back. Can you feel the new growth in there as opposed to the part that's just probably dead? It's hard to tell right now, so I'm leaving that for a bit longer too, and hoping that it will just fill back out. And when I realize it's not coming out, I'll go ahead and take the old stuff out so the fresh new stuff can be dominant and just take over. I actually had some foxglove, which that's probably not a major thing for anybody but me, but it is for me. I've never had them to just come back from seed, and I may have planted these last year at the end of the season, and they're just coming back from the plant. But either way, it's wonderful having them there, and I would be glad for the day if it should come when they just come back volunteer from the previous season's flower. And this little pot is doing great. Even that little geranium is beginning to sing a new song. I'm loving this little sedum. I may have pointed it out to you before, how the purple cast is coming out stronger and just more prolific and beautiful on this particular sedum. And then just right down from it, this little pot, the sedum in the back looks great. Came back even after all that cold that we had. Some of the ones around the bottom is coming back too. I really need to put some more around it, so because I think that would look gorgeous just hanging out the side of it there. But what I wanted to call your attention to mostly is this beautiful double purslane moss. Isn't that pretty? And in this little pot, this is one of those tiny little seedlings that I showed you when I started them inside the house and they were all about to die. This may be the only one that lived. I hope not, but it's possible. But look how big and gorgeous it is. I did, however, put one over here on this side too, and I'm not seeing it. I don't think any of that is one of the little seedlings, so I guess it didn't make it. And I can't remember for sure what I had planted there. I was hoping it was either one of the Mexican sunflowers that are bright orange and beautiful, or one of the Rebecca that's kind of it's got a variation of coloring from a pale yellow to a pale pink, and it just looks great. I think it's called Cherokee Sunset Rebecca, so I was hoping it might be one of those, but I'm not sure what it looks like to me right here from the side. It looks more like a chard. It may be one of the chard seeds that I planted in there. Some pots that I lost the plant that was in them last year, and so I put, this is Russian sage, and I put several of those here and there, so we'll see how it will do. This little plant had a grass in it, pot had a grass in it, but it's gone, so I've got little seedlings coming up in there. We'll see how they are, little seeds. Actually, there are some seedlings coming up in there that are already sprouted, and hopefully this will fill up this little pot by the end of the season and have some beautiful lilies here. And then I have one pot over at the very end that only has one little lone lily in it, so at some point I'm going to do something with that pot and probably move it from this little nook corner out to where it can be appreciated more, and put some plants around it, or some seeds that will grow into plants around it. But hopefully I'm about to get the garden where it'll be more like just watering every day. And of course that takes time too, but the harder work seems to be, hopefully I'm about to get caught up with it. Every time I think that, I find something else and I realize, no, I wasn't caught up with that. But things are going along well today as far as the garden part goes. I see I have a little seedling coming up here, and I put one on this side. There's nothing there. So I'll probably come out and put a few more seeds in different places too. Oh, this pretty verbena is, I think in a recent post I told you I think this is blue. Well, I was wrong. It's very blue, or some people would call this purple, so maybe it's purple, but it's beautiful. It's in that family. That family of blue violet. These beautiful little lemon fluff. Oh my, but first let me show you something else on this little lemon fluff, if you can see it. That's the kind of beetles I've been talking about that eat my blooms. So I just took him off and squashed him. But isn't this just a unique, beautiful little bloom? I'm trying to get one started for a friend of mine at our local diner, but I don't know if it will make it. It's kind of getting too late in the season and a little warm for them to make root, but it may still do it, so I'm going to give it a chance and see. And then of course this is just the seed head, and these may come back from seed. So far I have not gotten them too, but they probably do. And you can see right here where I clipped this one off, where I tried to start that one, and I'm hoping it will work. Look at that. I didn't get them all. There's one. Oh my, there's two on that side. Yes, and squash those also. They will take this bloom right out, and it won't take them a day to do it if I left them on there. And then look, I see that I'm getting another little cluster of these beautiful pink. This is like a baby pink. I think it's called New Dawn, and it is a beautiful rose. And also, my husband planted for me this pear tree. It wasn't really his idea to do a pear tree, but he let me get away with wanting one and decided, well, I guess she can have her pear tree. So that's what we have, and I hope it will do great. I like pears, and I love my pear tree. I like the pretty bloom that it gives off. I love the fact that the rotting fruit draws butterflies to the garden. I love all the nature that comes to the garden. Well, most all of it. I'm not particularly fond of snakes, that's the truth. I planted a few more castor bean seeds right here, but I don't know if they're going to make it. I've planted one twice before here, and neither of them have made it. Actually, I can see that one of them here is above the ground, so I'm going to go ahead and push that one on in farther, and hopefully it will one day sprout and put up a little castor bean for us. There, that job is done, and you can see where the little, see if I can get it in focus, where you can see where it had one last year. Down there where you can tell, I can't even tell from looking through here myself, but maybe, yeah, you can see where the stem was from last year's castor bean. So I'm hoping we can get another one going here. They're very pretty at the end of the season, and they put those beautiful bright red seed heads on them, and just that big pretty green leaf. So big and beautiful. Looks great in the garden. The garden is constant work, but it's also constant beauty. And I see I have some daylilies open back here in the back. I didn't know those were open. And there's some pretty clematis blooms on this side of the house too, or this side of the garden. Also, I'm seeing a hole right here, right under my beautiful new replacement peony. Some mole is going to try to take that out, and I'm just saying, please Lord, don't let that happen. And I'll be going directly into the house and getting some mole poison and putting in that little hole. Another little bloom beetle that had to die. Hollyhocks are also blooming. And I don't have very many in my garden this year because they had a fungus. This one may also have it. Let me look. This is how the outside of it looks. Let's see how the underside. Well, it doesn't look that much worse, so, but you can tell it's there. Those little yellow spots, they will just get more and more and more prolific on there. I'll probably have to take this one out too. They say there's no cure, just go ahead and get rid of it and then plant another one. I do have some new ones planted in the garden, but they are biennials, and actually they should make some pretty plants this year, but probably not bloom until next season. I don't know if I told you that we got 2 3/4 inches of rain, which was wonderful. There was actually a lot more rain than that all around us. Most everybody got rain till they were hoping they didn't get rain. So, but we didn't get so much that we hoped we didn't get it. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have minded a bit if we didn't get some more. I still hope we get some more. Basically, it does the garden better than just watering it can, but basically because when God waters for me, I get to do something else. Look at this beautiful little pastel yarrow. I just love it when the pink blooms come on it. Looks so good. This poor little pot is not looking too well, but it still has potential. I can't give up on it yet. Little mums are looking bare after I gave them a haircut and took some of them, but that's good because there was way too many here. They flopped over. It looked terrible. And I'm thinking that they have a chance to look good now. They just need to have a little bit of time, and I think they'll take off and do great, do better than they would have if I would have left them all that tall and just let them flop down. And look over here, some more pretty daylilies in bloom. If I told you that I did go ahead and put a little extra height of coconut liner in this pot. It needed it badly. I already had some plants or some seeds planted in there, so I lost those seeds, but it's okay. I planted some more, and actually you can see there's some coming up there. So hopefully this will be prettier than it would have been if I would have just left that one part just hanging empty. This will give it more protection and just a better chance, I think. Look how this little coleus has grown. I thought it would, and it has definitely taken a growth spurt. It has both widened and got taller, and it looks great. moving my little blackberry vine back closer to the fence, and I'll do that as soon as I get a chance to do that too. I was wondering if it would still make blackberries after the freeze took it off, after it was already started, which I guess I'm still wondering that. I thought, oh yes, here, I did see one. So maybe it will still make some blackberries. This little Mexican hat, or prairie coneflower, I really think it's pretty. I love how it sways in the breeze and blends in with all the flowers around it. It just looks great. Look, I also have a new little hibiscus bloom. Let me pull this over here where you can see this. Isn't that gorgeous? And here's a couple of little bat flowers. Can you see how much it looks like a little bat? Also just noticed how pretty this little calabachoa is looking right now. Oh, I wish they would just continue to do well in this little pot. Here's another one. These are some of my later purchased little plants that I put in, and I'm hoping they will do good. They definitely look good in this pot. I didn't know if it needed more, but once I got them in there, I think it did, because they look good there. Some of the Asiatic lilies are blooming also. And the little Sweet William just hasn't stopped going strong. This little pot is still looking great, just great. I love the white in it, the white impatiens. And this is where I'm trying to start some more of the lemon fluff, which I know they look so ratty and terrible right now, but if it will make a root, that will change and they will start looking healthy. They won't put on another bloom until next spring, but then they very well may, and if not, they will the following spring if they stay healthy. And this little calabachoa is still looking great, so that's wonderful. Pretty purple double, so pretty. And so far, so purple on my purple shield. You know, I've told you it usually turns brown on me, but so far it looks great. So these were my little sale plants. This is like the one that I told you was a purple fan flower in one of my coconut liner 2-tier pots in the back. And it's looking great. I hope I can keep it looking great. That would be wonderful. And oh, look at these coleus. How bright, how pretty. I hope I find a pretty spot for those. But mostly I'm planning on putting these where other plants have died out. Or this, and like this is another one of the cone flowers, and I will put it in the ground. This is one of the Cheyenne Spirit cone flowers. And this is Lamium, which is a purple, and as you can see, I have a bunch of the variegated Lamium with the yellow bloom. It's done well for me. I fixed my little swans a bit, but I've got to paint it over it white before it's going to look good. Remember how small these were, and they're filling out and looking great. This is the little cherub that had its head broken off, so he's all back together now. And this is one of the pots where I need, this is impatient that lived, and then all around it were impatiens. I may have only had 3 in there, or 4, but they've all died out except this one on the side, so I need to put something else there. And then also in the back of this one, you can tell I tried to put Damascus earth there and get rid of them, and maybe I did, or else they would have went right on over and killed this one too. So I'm hoping that I did kill some of them, but I want to refill these pots that are empty. And this one, there's one on the back side over there that's just empty where something has taken it out. So these are what I'm planning on doing today, filling up the little empty spots in my pots where the roly-polies and snails have killed them out. I looked so pitiful out here yesterday and the day before. I'd be sweating and sweat dripping from my eyebrows and my hair and down my neck, and I was red-faced, and it was just terrible. And it's getting, even though we're having a cooler, much cooler spring, it's still getting a little too warm to be doing some of that more physical stuff on the gardener, and then also to be transplanting. It's getting harder for the little plants. And I was out here trimming my mums, and actually we had missed this one little crepe myrtle, and that's what I started trimming. And then of course I was trimming mums all over the garden. I think I got them all, but I may have missed one that I'll find later. But I looked over here at my flowering quincy, and I realized, oh my, we have not trimmed that in a couple of years, and it was just getting so unruly and out of hand. So I did start to trim this, and I got about a fourth of it, and my husband came out and took over and trimmed it back for me. But you can see the garden now from way down at the road. You can still look up and see the garden because it's not being blocked by some of this other stuff. So I like that. I like that idea. And the little bushes themselves just look better. They look like they're healthier. They look like they've been to the beauty shop, got a haircut. And of course it's going to all grow back. But sometimes the growth is pretty too. But right now I'm ready for it to have this haircut, and I think it looks good, and I think it gives them a better chance. I know the mums will be better this fall because they won't be all too tall and flopping over so much, and just hopefully it'll just be a good thing. Let me go up here and get this candy tuft. I bought a purple candy tuft, and it is just blooming to beat the band. Doesn't it look great? And I can see this one was already filled out, but my other two pots are filling out quite a bit that I had to refill. For some reason it died in these two but not in this one, so that's good. And we got to starts from this one to put in the other two, and just so much has been done, and hopefully we're getting down to where it won't need quite so much constant attention. It'll just need to be kept watered. And since I'm speaking of that, I've got to give this up and go ahead and get that watering done. Well, maybe just one more little look. So I've certainly enjoyed looking at the garden. I hope you're enjoying it too. So much has changed, and I've been so busy working in it that I hadn't got a chance to really do that in at least 2 days, probably more like 4 days. So now I've had a chance to take a look at it and just enjoy it a bit and share it with you. And now hopefully I'll be ready to get busy again. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel.